A viral TikTok video is providing some much-needed hope to a Clark County couple. Their dog was attacked by another dog at a park in Hazeldown. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter. That TikTok video, viewed millions of times, has led to an overwhelming number of donations to cover medical expenses. Let's bring in Mike Benner. Mike, these donations are pouring in from across the globe? Yeah, it's pretty remarkable, Laurel. The couple tells me they've received donations to their GoFundMe campaign from as far away as Italy. People from Costa Rica and Mexico contributing as well. All of it coming after an attack the guy you're about to meet says could have ended with his dog dead.
Tenny Creek Neighborhood Park in the Hazeldale area of Clark County, a special place to those who use it, and that includes this couple, Dan and Marjorie.
I run through here on a daily basis almost. I walk my dogs here almost every day. I work from home. I love taking them through this beautiful park.
At least until this past weekend. Dan says on Saturday night he was walking his two dogs. One of them is named Cairo. Dan says she was on a leash in his right hand.
And I felt my arm being yanked, like I had a fish on the line. And I looked over, and this dog, I would guess about 70 to 80 pounds, had latched onto my dog's neck. Didn't release for what I'd estimate to be 30 seconds at least, while my dog is screaming while I'm kicking this other dog.
Dan says the other dog's owner tried stopping the attack, but was unsuccessful. Fortunately, the dog let up on its own. That gave Dan a chance to see the injuries to Cairo. They were so bad, we're choosing to blur parts of a photo Dan snapped in the moments right after the attack.
I called my wife right away. I had my earbud in, was able to call her, and I said, come immediately, she's going to die. Cairo's going to die. We're at the park right now.
I just grabbed my car keys.
Marjorie raced over to the park and drove Cairo to an emergency vet who was able to stabilize her for a transfer to Dove Lewis in Northwest Portland.
If it wasn't because of the generosity of people all around the world, we wouldn't be able to afford to have her there. We would have had to say bye.
Marjorie's referring to a GoFundMe campaign that has raised more than $48,000 for Cairo's mounting medical bills. This TikTok video, created by the couple's friend and viewed more than 2.5 million times, is believed to be the reason for the outpouring of support.
I appreciate every single person who has supported us to this point. I love each and every single one of you who couldn't be here without you.
What bothers Dan is what he considers a lack of remorse shown by the owner of the dog that went after Cairo. In fact, Dan says they disappeared in the chaos that followed the attack.
I would like for this individual to either come forward or be called out so that some level of responsibility can be had. I would hope that the person out there, being a dog owner themselves, could understand the situation that I'm in.
Dan says he did contact police to alert them to the attack. Officers told him to reach out to animal control. He did, and he believes the case is now under investigation. Laurel? It's so heartwarming, though, to see that outpouring for Cairo. Thank you, Mike. The Yamhill County Sheriff's Office is warning about a spike in fentanyl cases. There have been multiple overdoses in the last 4 days, and one of them was deadly. Deputies also think they found fentanyl at Willamina Middle School yesterday. Investigators believe a student may have been burning counterfeit pills containing fentanyl on a piece of aluminum foil in a bathroom. That bathroom is connected to a modular classroom at the school. A student and deputy were taken to the hospital as a precaution. It's important to note scientific experts say you can't just touch fentanyl and cause an overdose. An update now on the January 6th insurrection. A Portland woman pleaded guilty today for her role in the attack on the U.S. Capitol. Investigative reporter Kyle Iboshi has been following the January 6 cases. He's here now with an update. Kyle?
Laurel, Lilith Sayer appeared by video for today's plea hearing before a federal judge in Washington, D.C. The 30-year-old pleaded guilty to a single misdemeanor count of parading, demonstrating, or picketing in the Capitol building. Court documents suggest social media sleuths helped identify the Portland woman who stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Sayer, who had bright blue hair, could be seen in several videos from the Capitol that day. Investigators were able to confirm her identity through public records and previous appearances, including this 2019 protest outside of Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler's house. Court records suggest Sayer was a believer in the QAnon conspiracy. Sayer is the 9th person from Oregon or Southwest Washington to be charged in connection with the January 6th riot. Should be sentenced on April 4th and could face up to 6 months in prison, although that's unlikely based on what we've seen in similar cases.
Thank you, Kyle, for the update. One person has minor injuries following a shooting this morning in Northwest Portland. It happened on Northwest 3rd by Burnside just after 6 a.m. outside the Union Gospel Mission. Police say the victim was shot in the arm. Officers did not find a suspect. Attacks on power substations from North Carolina to the Pacific Northwest was big news in December. Now we have new information about 2 more attacks that happened even earlier in our area. Tim Gordon joins us now from Woodland, Washington. Tim, substations there were vandalized back in November.
Right, Laurel, this one here included part of the Callus PUD system, was hit on November 17th. Another on the west side of Woodland was hit the very next day. Now, where we are on Robinson Road, this picture shows how vandals cut through fencing to get into the substation. Once inside, police say they broke into the control house and damaged equipment that regulates the power at the substation. It caused a brief outage before other systems kicked in. Right next door is a commercial building under construction. Investigators believe whoever broke into the substation also tried unsuccessfully to hotwire forklifts, 2 of them that were parked here by contractors. The construction superintendent has a theory about that.
So my thought is if they were trying to hotwire the forklifts and not steal anything, I honestly think they were going to try to use them as battering rams.
Anytime somebody messes with the power grid, there's always ulterior motives, whether it is domestic terrorism, whether it is extremists, whether they're like in Pierce County, they took the power grid down to try to break into businesses.
Now, that's Woodland Police Sergeant James Keller, who tells us they're working in collaboration with the FBI on the Robinson Road substation attack and another that happened the very next day at a substation off of Pekin Road here in Woodland. Keller says they don't have a lot to go on, so no suspects, and this is an open investigation. One thing that's for sure, like the sign says here, anyone who's breaking into substations like this is truly risking serious injury or death being around all that high voltage equipment. Very dangerous indeed. Laurel, back to you.
Thank you, Tim. Tim in Woodland, Washington for us. New information tonight surrounding the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students. A newly unsealed search warrant shows what investigators took from Brian Coburger's Pullman, Washington apartment. He lived about 10 miles across the border from where the killings happened in Moscow, Idaho. Items taken include multiple hair strands, synthetic rubber gloves, 2 reddish-brown stained cuts from an uncased pillow, and mattress covers with several stains. Coburger is in jail awaiting his next court appearance set for June. The Newberg School Board has rescinded its ban on political symbols in schools, which started as a ban on Black Lives Matter and pride flags. They overturned it last week after 2 separate lawsuits against the ban. The board came to a settlement with the Newberg Education Association. That's a union that represents teachers in the district. Both that union and the American Civil Liberties Union had sued the district over the ban, and in both cases, the ban was ruled unconstitutional. The ban started in the fall of 2021 when the school board banned pride and BLM displays. They later broadened the ban to include any display that they deemed controversial. Someone in the community complained about a rainbow display in a teacher's classroom, so that teacher, along with the ACLU, sued the board. The Yamhill County Circuit Court ruled the ban was unconstitutional, and both lawsuits decided to agree on that verdict. The district does not plan to appeal. The first tolling project in the Portland area is moving forward despite some opposition from drivers and city leaders in West Linn and Oregon City. They voiced their concerns at a joint meeting last night. The first tolls are planned for near the Abernathy and Tualatin River bridges on I-205. They're set to start next year.
Everybody is going to be affected by this. I mean, unfortunately, the biggest impact that is going to happen with this program is going to fall squarely on the backs of the communities of West Linn and Oregon City.
We have a transportation problem in Oregon, and the state has tried hard to fund a variety of multimodal options and transit and bike and pedestrian and transportation improvements, and we need this additional tool of tolling.
ODOT says toll money will go toward adding a third lane and making seismic upgrades to the bridges. Another goal is reducing congestion. The toll amount will vary depending on the time of day and how many drivers are on the road. There is a draft environmental assessment coming next month. Then ODOT will have another public comment period. You can find more information about this on KGW.com.